Hello there. This is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Pretty boys and bad boys. I might have done a video. I've done like probably aggregate 2,000 total videos just in the YouTube space on my different channels. So I might have did this title before. But this particular podcast is kind of in response to something done on his Patreon by Afi Kingdom. And, you know, that was hilarious. It was on his Patreon, though. Y'all got to join his Patreon, after you join my Patreon. Hint, hint. Anyway, and check it out. But I was listening to it because you know how I get out here. You get some cats out here. It's like, well, only guys who going to get women are pretty boys and bad boys. And I like his response to it because too many cats worrying about some shit that they not. Too many cats. Too many dudes. And see, y'all know I wanted to go in some more motivational stuff, but the same stuff keep coming up because I still get it. I still get people hitting me up privately. Questions like, well, I'm going to get a woman. They just want the pretty boy. They just want the bad boys. First of all, ever since I was young, it's always been said. Some people always say or pick up, no matter who they are, they will always peep when women go for somebody who don't look like them. Now, when I was coming up, it was like the women supposedly going for all the light-skinned guys. But when I take an honest look back then, I'm like, well, how was I getting sex? I mean, yeah, it was the approximate what a teenager in the 80s was getting, but still, I was getting attention. Shit, women would let me grind up on their butts at the go-go. And people in D.C. know what I mean when I say the go-go. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I can't really say I was like lacking for play. Shit. And probably can even say I blew some play with some women. So I can't say they were just going for it, but I had that attitude at least until 18. Then that's when I kind of woke up. It was like, wait a minute, I'm getting mine too. Uh-oh. But you could, but people gonna say that. Or they'll say, well, I gotta look a certain way. Or you gotta behave a certain way. I gotta be a bad boy. That's that whole thing. Or if they says, as they saying more in the black community, that bad boy thing is more the white community. Black community is like a thug. Or, in the incel communities, they say, well, you gotta be Chad. Or Tyrone. They throw in Tyrone. So Chad's the white guy who looks perfect, close to perfect. And Tyrone's the black guy who looks close to perfect. I don't know what it is in Hispanic communities and Asian communities. Always something. Or speaking of Asian communities, I've seen some Asian guys say, well, you got to be white to get a woman. And I'm like, shit. All these kids in the world running around who ain't white, that kind of blows that whole contention away. Or, and y'all know I got to trigger y'all. The whole Pookie and Ray Ray thing. It's like, oh, you got to be Pookie and Ray Ray. I'm going to tell you what. And this is something Afi touched on as well. Stop fucking tripping, man. Like I said, I shouldn't have to tell people this shit that I learned before I turned 21. Like I said, I was on it too until actually it was a Muslim brother, kind of like broke thing. He broke the game down to me. Shoot, he was my Uncle Ron. Because he wasn't nice about saying shit either. He was broke. If anybody know about how like black Muslim men generally are, they for the most part, they tend to tell you like straight. If you want to know something, go ask one of them. They will tell you the straight deal on something. It's just a question of how nice they're going to be about it, but you're going to get it straight. He just basically let me know to stop tripping, and pointed out, he started questioning like who I had gotten with, and it was like, sound like they were feeling you, man. It's like, okay. But I can't be tripping over the next person. What every single man need to do is stop worrying about, even if you see that woman, even if it's a woman you like with that guy, that's just what she like. Because I'm going to tell you what, anybody who's read Nice Guys and Players know I talk about a dude named Jim. And Jim broke that game down to me. He said, because he said, I go in a club, be focused on one woman, she reject me. But he said, man, you got 3 other women there looking at you. You know, all a man can really do is be his best. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what women say publicly. Don't worry about what you see. Because first of all, apparently, obviously, women having babies by men other than pretty boys or bad boys. All these babies ain't cute out here, so they having babies with somebody. And you know, even that whole alpha fucks beta bucks thing. Shoot. Even though I've talked about paternity fraud and everything, what is it, 30% they say? Probably more, but it ain't 100%. Somebody having these babies. Men who are not pretty boys, men who are not bad boys, men who are not chocolate brothers, men who are not light-skinned men who are not Chad or Tyrone or what they say above that, a slayer, obviously getting sex. And all of them ain't spending money or anything like that. See, I'm gonna tell you what, when people talk about, it's easy to say I'm not doing anything because of that other person. That's a cop-out. That's the biggest cop-out. What a man has to do is just present his best self and live his best life. And let the chips fall where they may. If you spend that time thinking, well, I ain't getting a woman because I ain't 6'4", well, you can't really become 6'4", can you? They haven't figured out that technology, and even if you did, they figured out the technology how to stretch you to that. That don't mean you still gonna get women. Because there's a whole lot of complicated things going on there. There's a lot of moving parts in there. You know, that's like saying you fix up the outside of a car, you know, make it all shiny and stuff, but the engine's still lousy. And it still ain't fast. The brakes still bad. Everything got to be fixed up. And what every man has to do is his only person he need to worry about is the person in the mirror. And plus, sometimes, even if he think he this or that, he don't know what the women thinking. I've known women who have said a particular men who might not think they look good. Because you don't know what their taste are, what they looking for, what they prefer. So the best you can do is not worry about them at all. You know, I'm going to get into that in a future podcast, but what you have to do is focus on being the best self. Don't hate on that guy, because I'm going to tell y'all what with pretty boys and bad boys. I'm going to break it down. When my book Nice Guys and Players came out, I said it was for nice guys, but I also said it was about players who could get every woman except the one they want. When my book first sold, it sold primarily with women and actual players, guys who I looked at them, I was like, you don't need this book. But apparently they did, because you got pretty boy problems, you got bad boy problems. Now people might think they want those problems, but you know, you haven't walked in their shoes. You might not want their problems. So you don't know. See, you know, different religious texts talk about not coveting things. Another wise saying is, you know, don't think the grass on the other side is greener. Or somebody, you know, I saw a saying that added to it. It said, look, just water your own grass. If you think the other side is greener, you don't like yours, water it. Focus on yourself. Focus on being the best shape you can be. Having the best personality that's attractive, if that's what you want. Focus on your mission in life. You know, focus on being your best self. Don't worry about that next man and what they going through. Because first of all, look, unless you in the bedroom with them too, unless you in the bedroom, you don't know what's going on. Y'all be surprised. Like, that's something I haven't talked about. There's a lot of dudes, you might see them in public, women all over them, and then they sleeping in separate bedrooms. Or they ain't hitting it. Man, that's some real talk. You don't know what's going on with them. Unless you in the bedroom, you don't know what's going on. So, anyway, don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. Just to play your own game. So, anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and many blessings.